Manalangin po tayo. Dakilang Panginoon Diyos, may-ari ng sanlibutan, pinupuri namin ang iyong pangalan. Kami nagpapasalamat sa panalangin at gabay na ibinigay mo sa amin. Salamat sa panibagong araw na ipinagkaloob mo. Salamat din sa pagkakataon na ibinigay mo upang kami ay muling magtipon para sa panibagong kaalaman. Kami po ay humihiling na nawa po ay gabayan mo po kami sa aming pag-aaral at bigyan mo po kami ng makalangit na kaalaman at lakas upang kami ay matuto. At nawa po ang lahat ng aming matutunan ay magamit namin sa pagtulong sa aming kapwa. Patawarin mo po kami sa aming mga kasalanan at nawa po ang lahat ng aming gagawin ay maging alinsunod sa iyong kautusan. Ang lahat ng ito ay aming sinasamo sa ngalan ng aming Panginoong Hesus. Amen.
Good morning po sa lahat ng mga kadete nationwide from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, sa lahat po ng mga respectable deans, faculty, and staff, pati na po mga review lecturers in various review centers nationwide, sa mga estudyante po natin from first year up to fourth year, especially mga kadete, yung mga nag-graduate na po, yung mga takers, mga reviewees po natin for the upcoming criminologist licensure examination. Magandang umaga po sa inyo. Good morning. Welcome po sa Bikoyno. Ang Bikoyno po isang platform po ito sa YouTube na nagbibigay po ng comprehensive na discussion sa lahat po ng mga major subjects sa kurso po na criminolohiya or criminology. Mga kadete, may old video discussion po tayo sa subject na ito, lie detection techniques. Pero I'd like to advise everyone, yung old discussion po natin was built in Cebuano and English. Para po matulungan natin yung mga kadete po from Luzon, or para at least po lahat will be benefited with the video discussion, I decided to make a new one. At the same time, para na din po ma-align sa latest table of specification. So again, ang subject po ng discussion natin ngayon is no other than lie detection techniques. Before anything else, mga kadete, I'd like to promote again, just 1 minute lang, 1 minute lang mga kadete, bigyan nyo po ako ng oras to promote yung libro po natin, itong Bikoyno Review Material, containing 2 chapters po or 2 books compiled in one. Nakakompile na po ito, unang chapter po containing the review material, synthesized na po yan, naka-align na po sa latest table of specification. Yan po ang chapter 1 or book 1. Yung chapter 2 po nito, or yung book 2, contains various questions in all major areas. Sa lahat po ng 6 na major areas, may mga tanong po yan na nakalagay doon. Yung mga tanong po natin were taken from the previous criminologist licensure examination. Magagamit nyo po ang libro, especially yung mga reviewees right now ha. This is a very significant, very important book that you need in your preparation for the criminologist licensure examination, along with the supplemental review materials that you have in various review centers. Sa lahat din po ng mga kadete natin from first year, second year, third year, at saka fourth year, regular or irregular, I'd like to advise everyone as early as first year or second year. I think yung lie detection techniques na subject na sa second year yan, if I'm not mistaken. Pero depende yan sa curriculum. So, irrespective of whatever level you are right now, in college, I'd like to advise sa lahat po ng mga kadete natin, ng mga estudyante na po, as early as now, mag-avail na po kayo ng Bikoyno, at least po makapag-advance reading po kayo. Hindi po biro ang board examination. I tell you, madugo po talaga ang CLA po natin. In fact, the criminologist licensure examination is considered and assumed to be one of the most difficult exams given by the Professional Regulation Commission. So as early as first year o second year, mag-advance reading na po kayo. Gumamit po kayo ng Bikoyno. Sa lahat po ng mga inquiries, mag-chat lang po kayo. May sa description po sa video na ito, nakalagay po yung pangalan ko, yung complete name ko po sa Facebook. So we will chat through Facebook. It could either be through my Facebook page, which is Bikoyno Online, yun po ang FB page natin, or through my personal Facebook account, Bimboy Cueno. Okay? So sa lahat po ng mag-inquire ha, doon lang po kayo mag-chat. Now, without any necessary delay, puntahan natin ang proper discussion. Ito mga kadete ha, I can assure you, lahat po nakalay na po sa latest table of specification. Now, 3 words that I'd like to discuss first in the very first slide. Una, yung tinatawag nating polygraphy. Pangalawa, polygraph. Pangatlo, deception. Ano ba ang polygraphy? Ang polygraphy, siyensya po siya. It is a science or the study on the detection of deception. Basically, polygraphy, define po siya, scientific detection of deception or the study on the detection of deception. Ang pag-detect po sa deception, gagamit po tayo sa instrument na tinatawag na polygraph. Ibig sabihin, pag ang tanong sa board examination, tinutukoy dyan, study, ang sagot po natin, polygraphy. Pero pag ang tinutukoy dyan, instrumento sa pag-detect ng deception, ang sagot natin, polygraph. I'd like to repeat, yung polygraphy, siyensya or study on the detection of deception. Ang instrumento na ginagamit para po ma-detect ang deception, walang iba kundi yung tinatawag nating polygraph. Okay? Yung word na polygraphy, kinuha po yan sa dalawang Greek words. Okay? Importante yung mga kadete, yung mga affixes po natin, yung mga prefix, suffix, kasi po ang mga prefix at suffixes, yan po ang magbibigay ng clue kung ano po ba yung tamang sagot sa isang tanong. For example, pag polygraphy, poly, ibig sabihin marami. So, pag sabihin natin polydactyl, poly, ibig sabihin marami. Dactyl, finger. Ibig sabihin maraming fingers. So, maraming fingers, tinutukoy dyan yung extra finger. Polydactyl, ibig sabihin extra finger. Maraming fingers, considering that you exceed from the standard. Yung standard dyan, yung additional one. Yung extra finger. So, polydactyl, extra finger. So, pag i-apply natin sa word na polygraphy, poly, marami. Graphy, ibig sabihin dyan, writings, pagsulat. So, pag dinugtong natin yung 2 words, poly at saka graphy, ibig sabihin, many writings. Okay? So, ano ba ang polygraphy? Scientific study or the scientific detection of deception or the study of the detection of deception. Ano ang instrumentong gagamitin sa pag-detect ng deception? Walang iba kundi ang tinatawag nating polygraph. Now, ang polygraph na isang instrumento sa pag-detect ng deception, nagre-record yan sa the following changes. Una, yung respiration natin. Pangalawa, yung blood pressure natin. Pangatlo, pulse rates at saka yung galvanic skin reflex. Okay? Ano ba ang nire-record sa polygraph? Nire-record niya po ang blood pressure, pulse rate, respiration, and galvanic skin reflex. Ang lahat po ng mga changes in these areas ay magiging basihan po para masabi natin na ang isang tao is considered to be lying on a particular question. So, ang changes po sa mga blood pressure or sa respiration or sa pulse rate ay siyang mag-indicate po sa atin, magbigay signal po sa atin na ang taong ito has been lying in this particular question. Okay? Yan po ang polygraph. Ano yung deception? Deception, ibig sabihin, an act of deceiving. Very easy to understand. Deceiving or misleading, which is usually accomplished by lying. Deception or lying, pareho lang po yan. Now, before we go with the different components of a polygraph and the different stages in polygraph examination, i-examine muna natin yung mga methods of detecting deception. Pag pupunta kayo sa TOS, isa sa mga topics na nakalagay dyan, methods of detecting deception. Marami po tayong pamamaraan sa pag-detect kung ang isang tao has been lying or not. Una po dito, yung tinatawag nating ancient method. Pero again, hindi na po natin ginagamit ang ancient method ha. Ginamit po ito sa sinaunang mga panahon. Ano yung mga pamamaraan on the ancient times for them to detect deception? Una, yung tinatawag nating red hot iron ordeal. Now, ang red hot iron ordeal mga kadete, ginagawa po siya, piniperform yan into different methods. Una, may isang iron ilagay doon sa isang burning furnace. Pag ang isang iron becomes already red hot, ang gagawin, ilagay yung red hot iron on top of the hands of the suspect, yung accused, and the accused will be instructed to walk 9 paces. After walking 9 paces, titingnan ngayon kung wala bang blisters, wala bang burns, okay, on top of the hands of the person. Pag walang burning, walang blisters na makikita sa hands ng isang tao after walking 9 paces, ibig sabihin, inosente siya. He is truthful, he is not lying. Okay? Pero pag may blisters yan, nasusunog, o ibig sabihin, yung tao na yan is considered to be lying. Pangalawang pamamaraan sa red hot iron ordeal. Ang pangalawa po, isang iron, inilagay doon sa burning furnace, and then once the iron becomes red hot, the person or the accused will be instructed to stick out his tongue. Imagine, stick out yung tongue niya, and then the red hot iron will be placed on top of the tongue of the person. And then after that, after a while, the tongue of the person will be examined again. If there is blister, there are burns that can be found on top of the tongue, basically that person is considered to be lying, considered to be guilty of the accusation. Pero pag tingnan natin, talagang wala yung tongue niya, talagang pulido, solid na solid, praktisado. So ibig sabihin, walang burning, walang blisters, automatic. Ang tao na yan is considered to be innocent. Okay? Pangalawa po, pangalawang pamamaraan po sa pag-determine pag isang tao is lying or not in the ancient times. Itong tinatawag nating trial by combat. Ang trial by combat, tinatawag din po itong wager of battle. Okay? Dalawa din pong 2 ways on how to conduct wager of battle or trial by combat. Una, ako yung akusado, ikaw yung complainant, we will fight in front of an audience. Okay? We will subject ourselves into a combat, you against me. Pag ako ang nanalo, ako yung accused, ibig sabihin, ako yung inosente. Okay? Ibig sabihin, I am honest, I am not lying. But in the other way around, pag siya yung nanalo, yung complainant po yung nanalo, ibig sabihin, yung accused has considered to be lying. Yan po, isang paraan po yan. Yung pangalawang paraan po, I choose my champion. Okay? Ibig sabihin, I can appoint somebody who is expert in killing somebody in a battle. So, I choose my champion, the complainant will choose his own champion. Ibig sabihin, yung mag-fight is champion against champion. So, yung bata ko, tsaka yung bata niya, yun po ang magpapatayan dyan. Pag yung champion ko, yung bata ko po ang nanalo, ibig sabihin, inosente ako. Pero pag yung bata niya, yung champion niya, ang nanalo, ibig sabihin, ako is considered to be lying. Yun po ang wager of battle. Okay? So, the other one, the third one is the so-called ordeal by balance. Okay? Ito, pinapractice po ito sa India. Okay? Ang nangyari po dito, gagamit po ng scale of balance. In one end of the scale, ang accused po ilagay doon, tsaka yung on the other end is a counterbalance. And then, yung akusado po will step out on the scale and will listen to a judge deliver an exhortation on the balance and get back in. Ibig sabihin, may weighing scale. Okay? May exhortation. Ibig sabihin ng exhortation, may sinasabi yung mga incantation coming from a judge. And after the exhortation, the accused will step back, or will step in again on the weighing scale. Now, upon stepping in on the weighing scale for the second time, if he was found to be lighter, ibig sabihin mas magaan siya sa unang timbang. Pag lighter siya kaysa unang timbang, ibig sabihin inosente siya. Okay? Pero pag the same weight, or probably naging heavier na, ay nako yung akusado, magiging considered to be guilty. Yun po, ordeal by balance yan. Ito, ordeal by rice throwing, sa old curriculum mga kaditi, lumabas ang name of the rice. I could still remember, I think, way back 2017. Ang name ng rice is the sati. Okay, take note of that. Pero I don't know if this will come out under the new TOS. Pero sa new old TOS po ito, lumabas ito. It is performed with a kind of rice called sati. Sati ang ginagamit ha. Prepared with various incantation. Ang tao po will be instructed to eat the sati. Tapos he will be facing to the east. And then after facing to the east, he will spit. Okay? Dudura siya ngayon upon a pea leaf sa dahon. If saliva on the pea leaf is mixed with blood, or the corner of his mouth swells, or he trembles during the act of spitting, or he will be declared as deceptive or lying. Okay? So ano ang ginagamit na rice dito? Itong tinatawag nating sati. On the other hand, may tinatawag din po tayong boiling water ordeal. Ito yung mga ordeals using water, gumagamit ng tubig. Una under ordeal by water, itong tinatawag nating boiling water ordeal. There is a big pot filled with water that is boiling. Pwedeng ilagay doon yung coin at the bottom or a stone at the bottom of the pot. And then, the accused will be instructed to submerge both of his hands in order to pick up the stone at the bottom or to pick up the coin at the bottom. So imagine mo yan mga kadete, boiling pot yan eh. May boiling water yan. You have to submerge your hand, your arms to the wrist hanggang siko. Kukunin mo ngayon yung stone dyan out from the boiling water. So pag walang blister, hindi nasusunog, ibig sabihin yung tao is considered to be innocente. Pero pag may blisters yan or may burning on the skin of the person, that person is considered to be lying or deceptive. On the other hand, pag witchcraft naman, yung accusation, usually ito ang ginagamit, itong cold water ordeal. Sa London, di ba mga kadete, if you will take a look at the history, may mga, yung witchcraft po is considered to be a crime there in Great Britain, a long time ago. So, one of the ordeal using water that was made in order to find out whether the person is really into witchcraft, itong tinatawag nating cold water ordeal. Okay? The usual mode of trial for witchcraft was flung into the body of the water. Sino ba yung inihagis? Ang inihagis po yung accused of witchcraft. Okay? The other one is itong tinatawag nating ordeal of the red water. The ordeal of the sasi bark or red water is used in the wide region of Eastern Africa. Ang accused po dito is made to fast. Ibig sabihin ng fasting, hindi siya kakain. To fast for 12. Okay? Hindi siya kakain, and then after that, he will be instructed to swallow a small amount of rice. After kakain siya ng rice, he will be then instructed to be immersed. Ibig sabihin, mag-immerse yung body niya doon sa dark-colored water. Yung water po is considered to be emetic. So, if the suspect, idura niya ngayon or ipalabas niya ngayon lahat ng rice na kinain niya, ibig sabihin, he is considered to be honest. And he is going to be innocent. Considered to be innocent of the charge or of the accusation. Pero pag hindi niya na-spit, hindi niya na ipalabas lahat ng rice na kinain niya, after he immersed his body on the dark-colored water, ibig sabihin, yung tao na yan is considered to be guilty. Okay? The other one, third to the last is ordeal of the corsned or the ordeal of the blessed bread. Ito, yung pari po, kukuha siya ng hallowed bread, ilagay niya ngayon sa mouth ng accused. May mga imprecations or may mga incantations na nagagawin po. If the accused can swallow the blessed bread, then he is considered to be freed from punishment. Okay? Yung second to the last, itong smell out technique. Anong basihan dito? Ibig sabihin, pag ang tao daw mabaho, pag mabaho siya, ibig sabihin, ang tao na yan is considered to be lying. Kasi nga daw po, ang sweating causes body odor, and guilt is determined when foul odor is exhibited due to extreme fear and nervousness. For short, sa smell out technique, langapin mo You smell the body of the accused. If the body of the accused is foul, fetid, or with bad odor, ang accused na yan is considered to be a liar or deceptive. Therefore, he will be considered to be guilty of the offense charged against him. Pero pag hindi naman mabaho, for example, naka-perfume, siguro na-invento na siguro yung perfume on that time. Pag naka-perfume siya, so, questionable. Kasi nga po, of course, pag naka-perfume siya, hindi naman yan mabaho. Yeah, pag langhap, it cannot be considered as with fetid smell. So siguro, ang tao na yan will be considered to be innocent. So, ang bottom line lang po dito is ano yung baho, ano yung smell ng accused. Okay? The last one is the sacred ass ordeal. Okay? Ito, ginagamit ito sa India. Remember mga kadete, yung cow in India or yung ass in India. Animals in India are considered, some animals basically are considered to be holy. Okay? So dito po, ano nangyayari sa sacred ass ordeal, yung suspitsado po will be instructed to get inside a particular room. And in that room, mayroong isang cow. And then the suspect will touch the tail. Okay, the tail of the cow. And then if the cow, after touching the tail, will make a loud sound. Okay, pag siguro yung baka, gagawa siya ng pinakamalakas or malakas na sigaw. Ibig sabihin, yung suspitsado who touched the tail of the cow is considered to be guilty. Okay. Pero pag wala namang nangyayari, there is no sound on the part of the cow, ibig sabihin, yung tao na yan is considered to be innocent. Yun po ang mga ancient methods in the detection of deception. Ang tanong ngayon, are we still using ancient methods to detect deception? Ang sagot, hindi na. Wala na. That's a very correct answer. Pero, follow-up question. Why do you think, mga cadets, who are under right now in lie detection technique subject, why do you think these ancient methods of deception are no longer practiced in our contemporary times? Bakit ba hindi na po natin ginagamit ang mga ancient methods na mga ito? Yung trial by ordeal, all you have to remember, what you need to remember in trial by ordeal is that it believes on a principle that God will protect the innocent but will damn the guilty. God will protect the innocent but will damn the guilty. Pag titinan nyo ang Bible, mga kadete, pag mahilig kayo sa mga Adventist dyan tulad ko, you know the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego who were friends with Daniel, yung punishment nila, inilagay doon sila sa burning furnace. Kasi nga, they refused to worship the idol made by the king of Babylon. So, as a punishment, they were thrown in a burning furnace. But lo and behold, not a single burn was found on their body. In fact, the only thing that burned from their body were the chains that bind them. Yung chains lang po. So the king of Babylon instructed, go out from the burning furnace. Pagdating doon, paglabas nila, talagang walang nangyari. There's no burning. So, same principle that if you are innocent of the accusation, you will be protected by the gods. Kasi nga noong araw, gods kasi nga maraming Panginoon doon eh. Maraming Diyos-Diyosan noong mga panahon na yon. So, but if you are guilty, you will be damned. Okay? Pero, again, going back to the question, why do ancient methods of deception are no longer utilized nowadays? Ang sagot dyan, pag ito magtanong sa board examination, ang sagot dyan, simply because nowadays, we cling on scientific form of evidence. Okay? Ano ang sagot? We cling on scientific form of evidence. Scientific evidence na po. Pag pupunta ka sa criminal justice system, the prosecution, the court no longer accept any spiritual form of evidence. Kahit pupunta ka doon sa judge, sabihin mo ngayon, Your Honor, nag-rape ako kasi nga, Your Honor, nademonyuhan yung kamay ko, gumalaw. Kahit sabihin mo pa yan and make it as your argument. Or probably you will say, Your Honor, I was possessed by the devil. That is why I raped the victim. The judge will not accept it because, on one reason, the court, the pillars of criminal justice system now clings on scientific form of evidence and the pillars do not accept any spiritual form of evidence. Kahit sabihin mo pa na demonyuhan ka, you have been possessed, blah, 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 the court will not honor such kind of evidence. The reason that as of now, naging obsolete na po, nawala na po lahat ng ancient methods of the detection of deception. Okay? So ano yung mga modern methods natin? Kasali dito, number 2 ha, non-verbal clues. Di ba? If you observe a person, subtle changes in demeanor, paling, namumutla siya, nag-blush siya, parang chameleon ah. Parang chameleon ba? Bumuputi, naging pula yung color, naging blue. Okay? Paiba-iba yung color eh. Nag-blushing, nag-paling. Posture, facial expression, and body movements can indicate deception. A person who is lying cannot look straight to the eye of another individual. Okay? Yan po ang tandaan natin. Very basic knowledge po yan. A person who is a liar, who is lying, and caught in the act of lying, can never look straight to your eyes. Now, itong mga non-verbal clause, mga kadete, hindi po ito pwedeng gagamitin natin sa korte to tell the judge na just because the person is failing, he is already considered to be deceptive. No. These are just symptoms, indications, or signs that will tell you that this person might be probably lying. But these are not conclusive evidence to tell that that a person is really into deception. I'd like to repeat. When a person is failing, blushing, or probably doing any kind of expressions or bodily gestures that will indicate lying, ang mga ito are just symptoms or signs that a person is not telling the truth. But we cannot use this as basically conclusive evidence to tell to the court that this person should be held as guilty because he was blushing, he was paling, or he was twitching his lips, so on and so forth. These are just signs that will tell the investigator to dig more deeper because, again, the person is not telling the truth. Pangatlo, pamamaraan po sa pagdetect ng deception. Speech patterns. Ina-analyze dito yung mga verbal cues. Okay? Hesitation, nag-stutter, in telling a person, stuttering or speech rate, tsaka yung tone can also provide insight into truthfulness. Dito ha, sa speech pattern, dito ha, sa magpupulis dyan, anger does not mean that the person is lying. Kasi sa Cebuano sa mga Bisaya diha, may tinatawag tayo na phrase, o kay nangisog man ka, tinuod. O sa Tagalog, kasi nagalit ka, totoo yan kasi nagalit ka. Yun po. Pero sa criminal investigation and in lie detection techniques, anger connotes honesty. I'd like to repeat. Anger connotes honesty. Ibig sabihin, mali po yung sabihin natin kasi nagagalit, totoo. Mali po yan. Ang sabihin dapat natin, kasi nagagalit siya, ibig sabihin, yung accusation is not considered to be true. Yun po dapat. Okay? Kasi anger is not a sign of lying, but rather anger is a sign of honesty. Okay? Pangapat po, statement validity analysis. Dito, iba po siya sa number 3. Sa number 3 kasi, yung speech niya, yung pattern, yung hesitation niya, yung stuttering niya, delay sa response, yun po ang ini-evaluate. Dito, yung content mismo, yung structure, plausibility ng statement, and then you will compare one statement to the other statement, and if you found out that these two statements are in conflict with each other, meaning the person is lying. Yun po under siya sa number 4, statement validity analysis. Another one is itong tinatawag nating voice stress. Okay? Voice stress analysis. Dito naman, it analyzes vocal cues like yung pitch natin sa pagsasalita, yung amplitude po, at saka yung frequency. Ginagamit po siya sa pag-detect kung isang tao is telling the truth or not. Pang-anim, itong tinatawag nating cognitive chronometry. Okay? Dito, minimeasure po ang time para ang isang tao, titingnan kung ilang oras ba, ilang minuto, ilang segundo siya mag-process ng information. And the delay in speaking, the delay in the processing of information can also be a good indicator, a good basis for telling whether a person is telling the truth or not. Then, yung latest natin, itong AI-powered, artificial intelligence-powered lie detection. Okay? So, dinedevelop po ito, nag-analyze po siya ng facial expressions, speech patterns, and other data to detect deception. Yan po, yung AI, very advanced na po yan. But it can also help in knowing whether a person is considered to be lying or not. Okay? Sa number 8, mga kadete, may tinatawag tayong hypnotism. Ang hypnotism po was introduced by Franz Anton Mesmer in 1778. Pero dito, mga kadete, ang mangyayari po kasi, yung subject will be lost in terms of his consciousness. And of course, once the consciousness is lost, whatever you will tell to the subject will perform. So if you will ask him to tell honest response, he will do the same. So pag sabihan mo ngayong sasayaw, sasayaw yung subject. Pag sabihan mo ngayong to confess, mag-confess yung subject. Pero again, hypnotism, even if applied before in investigation, as of now, is not considered to be an evidence that is admissible in the court. Kasi nga po, fruit of the poisonous tree po ito. Ano ibig sabihin ng fruit of the poisonous tree? Evidence na illegally obtained, which can be admissible in the court. Bakit po inadmissible siya? Inadmissible kasi po, sa pagkuha ng confession at saka sa admission, ang isang requirement dyan is that the confession and the admission should be considered to be voluntary. So, ibig sabihin, pag wala kang consciousness, nawalan ka ng consciousness because of hypnotism, question, do you really think that the confession and admission have voluntariness in the giving thereof? The answer is no. Kasi nga po, wala ka sa pag-iisip mo, wala ka sa consciousness. For short, kasi wala ka sa consciousness, hindi voluntary yung mga statement mo. So, kasi hindi voluntary, hindi siya pwedeng gawing ebidensya doon sa korte. Let's jump first to truth serum. Same with truth serum, mga kadete, which was introduced by Edward Mandelhaus. I think, way back 2018, if I'm not mistaken, lumabas po ang isang droga na ginagamit po sa truth serum. Itong Hyoscine hydrobromide. Yan po ang ginagamit sa truth serum, basically. Yan po ang droga ginagamit dyan. And the person can tell the truth or will tell the truth. But then again, just like hypnotism, walang voluntariness yung confession at saka admission. In the absence of voluntariness, that statement is considered to be a fruit of the poisonous tree. Therefore, inadmissible yan. Hindi yan pwede magamit. Okay? Now, aside from hypnotism and truth serum, may tinatawag tayong word association test by Francis Galton. Ito, mga kadete, mas okay po. Kasi dito po, ang isang accused, isang subject po, will be given a long list of words. Okay? It could be words or objects with other picture interspersed with other relevant words. Tapos, ang suspitsado po will be instructed to respond with the very first word that come to the subject's mind. So, i-flash lang yung long list of words, flash in front of him, then after that, the person will be asked, ano ba yung pinakaunang salita that you remember? So probably, ma-remember niya, let's say, bushes or grasses. And then, second flash of the card with words, lagay na lang natin na it's a mud or mud. So probably, pag rape yan, ina-associate mo yung first word at saka second word. So sabihin mo ngayon, probably the dead body of the victim was deposited in a grassy, muddy place. Okay? Or a grassy, muddy spot or area. So, basically, word association, ibig sabihin, pinagdugtong mo yung unang word, pangalawang word, pangatlong word that were uttered by the subject when he was asked to respond with the very first word that comes to his mind. Okay? Tawag dito, word association test. Okay? On the side of the Philippine National Police, sa police po natin, hindi pa tayo gumagamit ng word association kasi sa psychologist lang yan mga psychologist. Hindi din po tayo gagamit ng hypnotism, kung ano-ano dyan, kung anong instant methods. Pero ang ginagamit natin, itong cardinal points of investigation at saka yung tools of investigation para makita natin if a person is really telling the truth or is lying. Ano ba itong cardinal points of investigation? 5 W's at saka 1 H. Okay, 5 W's and 1 H yan. Unahin po natin yung who. Yung who po would refer to the identity of the suspect or the identity of the victim. Ibig sabihin ng who, identity. Magtanong ang board examination, identity, ano ang isagot? Who. Pag nature of the crime, automatic ang sagot natin, what. Okay? Nature of the crime, ibig sabihin, anong crime ang nakomit? What. Okay? Nature of the crime, what. Pag place, kung saan nangyari ang krimen, where po ang sagot natin. Okay? Pag motive naman, ano yung rason, motive, or the factor that push a person to commit an act? Ano ang answer natin? Why. Okay? Why po ang answer natin dyan. Pag oras at saka time that the crime was committed, ang answer po natin is when. Okay? Ang answer po natin is when. Who, identity. What, nature of the crime. Where, the place. Why refers to the motive. And then when refers to the time and the date the crime was committed. Yung pang-last po, yung modus operandi or the mode of operation in the commission of the crime. How po yan. H. How. Okay? 5 W's, 1 H. So, ang cardinal points ay tutulong po sa investigator to find out whether the person is telling the truth or is considered to be lying. Then, aside from the cardinal points of investigation, itong 3 I's, tatlong I ng investigation or tinatawag itong tools of investigation. Information, which refers to the details that you obtained. It could be coming from the overt sources or covert sources. Overt, ibig sabihin, yung information taken openly. Pag covert information, ito yung mga impormasyon na nakukuha natin through clandestine operation. Ibig sabihin ng clandestine operation, ito yung mga sikreto ng mga operasyon. For example, tailing, shadowing, reconnaissance, casing, undercover assignment, so on and so forth, as so long as clandestine operation po yan. Lahat ng impormasyon na nakukuha natin sa clandestine operations, tinatawag po siyang covert information. Pero yung mga impormasyon na nakuha natin openly, nakuha natin from Facebook account, nakuha natin from newspaper, yun po, tawag natin doon, overt information. Okay? Then, we also have interrogation. Ano itong interrogation? Ito, na-discuss ko po ito very comprehensively in the previous subject. Interrogation, it is the questioning of a suspect. Questioning of a suspect who is not cooperating in the line of questioning. Ang tanong po dito, ang nature of the question po usually is accusatory. At tapos po, ang ginagamit ng mga tanong, closed-ended. Answerable by yes or no. Did you shoot? Did you stab? Okay? Accusatory po yan. Ginagamit ang interrogation if ang subject po is sospechado. Pag interview, yung subject are the witnesses or the victim. Pang-tatlo is instrumentation. Ano ba itong instrumentation, mga kadete? Ito yung mga sum total of all instruments that are used in the detection of crime. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga instrumento, mga aparatos na ginagamit po natin para ma-detect po yung krimen. Okay? Ito yung mga regular police methods in the detection of deception. Okay? Now, ito mga cadets, there are so many person who kept on saying that hindi na po lalabas ang mga tao. Pero ang style ko po kasi, I have to be holistic with my approach. Yes, I would agree with you. Hindi po lalabas ang mga tao sa board examination. Unlike in the previous curriculum. Sa lumang table of specification, ang mga tao po, hindi po yan lalabas. Yung sa luma, for example, lumabas po yan in the previous TOS. But in the new curriculum, hindi na po siya lalabas. Pero again, I'd like to be holistic. Para at least, importante kasi nito, pag ang foundation natin is solid, mas mabuti. Solidify yung foundation natin pag alam natin yung historical background. Yun po. So I'd like to mention the following personalities. Una, si Angelo Mosso. Si Angelo Mosso, nag-studio po siya sa fear at saka yung influensya ng fear on the heart of the person. Pag isang tao natatakot, there will be pounding of the heart, right? So if you are lying, you have fear. And that fear could pound the heart in a fast manner. Okay? Nag-develop siya sa tinatawag nating sphygmomanometer, and scientific cradle which used to measure the flow of blood. Okay? Pangalawang tao, itong sinatawag natin si James Mackenzie. Take note, si James Mackenzie, siya po ang pinakaunang tao na nag-construct ng polygraph. Pero ang polygraph machine po na ginawa niya, inimbento niya, hindi po ginagamit sa investigation, kundi ginagamit lang po ito for medical purposes. Ano yung medical purpose niya? To record undulated traces of the vascular pulse, yung radial, venous, at saka yung arterial. Okay? Yung tinatawag nating father of Father of Criminology. Yung tinatawag natin Father of Criminology, may contribution din po siya sa polygraph, si Cesar Lombroso. Nag-imbento siya sa tinatawag niyang hydrospimograph. Noong araw, tinatawag niya po itong Lombroso's gloves. Okay? Isa po itong instrumento na magbi-measure po ng changes in pulse and blood pressure when the suspect were asked about their involvement in certain case. Remember, ito yung pinakaunang tao na nag-utilize ng instrumento sa pag-detect ng lies. Ito si Cesar Lombroso. Sunod, ang father of modern polygraphy. Ano ba yung polygraphy? The scientific detection of deception. Sino yung father of modern polygraphy? Itong si William Moulton Marston. Kasi po, naging father of modern polygraphy siya kasi nga po because of his researches. He researched about lies. At the same time, nag-imbento po siya ng isang lie detector in 1915 true systolic blood pressure test na naging component po ito sa modern polygraph. Okay? Pag father of polygraph, itong si John Larson. Okay? Si John Larson, father of polygraph. Father of modern polygraphy is basically William Moulton Marston. Bakit naging father siya ng polygraph? Naging father siya ng polygraph kasi po siya ang nag-imbento ng polygraph. Yung polygraph that is used to find out whether the person is lying or not. Pinakaunang tao nag-imbento. Pero yung contribution niya, ni John Larson, ginagamit po ito in law enforcement or in investigation. Unlike James Mackenzie, na yung polygraph niya, na naimbento niya, was utilized for medical purposes. Okay? So, si John Larson, father of polygraph. Ano yung polygraph? Instrumento that will record the changes of the pulse rate, of the respiration, so on and so forth. Now, ang ginawa ni Leonard Keeler, knowing that John Larson already invented the polygraph, ginawa niya, he developed at saka in-improve niya ngayon yung kay Larson's polygraph. So, dito, yung mga modern polygraph po natin, yung mga, especially yung mga analog, kay Keeler po yan. Okay? Kaya si Keeler, tinatawag siyang the father of modern polygraph. Okay? And most importantly po, siya po ang nag-imbento sa chemograph. Later on, in the second episode, probably malaman po natin kung ano yung function ng chemograph. At the same time, siya din po ang nag-develop ng relevant at saka irrelevant test. Okay? Again, mga kadets, yung mga father na yan, hindi po yan lalabas sa board examination. Hindi po yan lalabas. Ang punto ko po dito, bakit ko po isinali ang mga tao na yan, kasi nga po, dapat holistic po yung approach natin. Maging holistic po yung approach natin if alam po natin yung historical background. Okay? Kuha po So, wag nyo na pong i-memorize yung mga father na yan Wag nyo na pong i-memorize. I'm just including this in the discussion in order for us to have a solid foundation. Sa pneumograph naman, ang dalawang tao po under this component are the following. Vittorio Binosi, who used nomograph in the detection of deception, and then Harold Burt that determined the respiratory changes, which were the basis in the person's response, whether he is telling the truth or not. On the other hand, as to galvanograph, ang tao po dito are the following. Luigi Galvani. Siya po ang nag-imbento sa galvanometer. Okay? Ano ba ang galvanometer? Ang galvanometer is a component of the polygraph that will measure the bodily resistance of a person to the smallest amount of electricity known as ohms. OHMS. Okay? Smallest amount of electricity. So yung changes ng skin resistance ng isang tao will be recorded through the galvanometer. Okay? Ano yung galvanometer? I-record niya ngayon yung changes po sa skin ng isang tao when the skin of the person is subjected to the smallest amount of electricity. Pag ang tao po is considered to be lying, di ba? Heavily sweating or perspiring po. So yung changes na yan, basically will be recorded through galvanometer. Okay? Yung pinakaunang tao who used the term psychogalvanic reflex was no other than Otto Veragot. Okay? So yun po mga kadets ha. Now lastly, I'll go with the types of lies. Okay? I think we have 8 types of lies. Okay? 8 types of lies. Ito po ang pinaka-last under this episode, kadets. Okay? Types of lies. Una itong tinatawag nating direct denial. Okay? Ibig sabihin ng direct denial, direct inadmittance o direct refusal on a particular accusation. For example, did you shoot? And you say, I did not do it. So basically, saying I did not do it is a direct denial type of lie. If you are the one who committed the crime. Okay? Lie of omission, mga kadete, dito po, you tell portions of the truth, but you omit some of the details. Okay? You tell portions that are actually true, but then again, some of the truth in that storytelling have been omitted. Okay? Ang tawag po nito, lie of omission. For example, you admitted that you took the 5,000 pesos out from the drawer of Maria, but you omit the idea that you also stole the jewelries found in the drawer. Probably you will just tell the truth, I took the 5,000 pesos. But you did not tell the truth that you were also the one who took the jewelries inside the drawer. O lie of omission po ang tawag niyan. Ang lie of omission, different po siya sa lie of minimization. Kasi sa lie of minimization, you tell the truth, but you tend to downplay the implication of the action. For example, pag suntukan yan, sinabihan mo lang, sir, hindi naman yun malakas, sir. It was just very slow. When I boxed him, it was just a banter, a friendly banter kind of box or a friendly banter kind of punch. But when you take a look at the face of the person, nakahimotoma. So, ibig sabihin, talagang malakas ang pagsuntok. Pero yung tao sasabihin niya nga, hindi naman yun malakas, sir, eh. Mahina lang po yun. So, basically, saying it was just not that serious, downplaying the implication of the act is known as lie of minimization. Sa lie of omission, nag-omit ka ng some details. Sa lie of minimization, you reduce, you downplay the implication of your action. Okay? The most difficult lie is considered to be lie of fabrication. Bakit po? Difficult kasi nga po mag-iimbento ka ng storya eh. Okay? Yung mga marites dyan, mga hilig ng yung mga marites, they are very good in inventing stories. Diba? Pag lalaki yung tiyan, kasi naging nagiging fat yung babae, yung neighbor, ano ang sasabihin ng marites? That neighbor is pregnant or that neighbor is no longer a virgin. Diba? They tend to inventing stories is basically a lie of fabrication. Yung gumagawa ng mga talagang lies. Okay? The other one is lie of exaggeration. Ito naman, nag-exaggerate ka. For example, you pretend that you are you are having a board rating of 90, where in fact, pag titignan yung rating, naka-flat wasay, 75. Diba? Yung mga lie of exaggeration, when you try to exaggerate things. Itong benign lie, tinatawag din po itong red lie, white lie rather. Ang white lie or benign lie is considered to be amoral. Ano ibig sabihin ng amoral? Yung morality kasi natin, tatlo yan moral, amoral, at saka immoral. Pag moral, ibig sabihin good acts, good behaviors. Pag immoral, yung mga bad acts, right? Yung mga bad behaviors. Amoral, it's neither good nor bad. Hindi siya good, hindi naman siya bad. Nasa gitna lang po siya. Ang white lie or benign lie, amoral po yan. The purpose of this lie is just to maintain the relationship or the harmony of friendship between one person to the other or between a worker and an employer. Okay? So if somebody will go to you, like for example, a foreigner, di ba, yung mga Pinoy, ang very common characteristic natin, pag may isang foreigner pupunta sa atin, tapos, especially if yung foreigner na yan is member of the family, kasi nakapag-asawa yung foreigner na yan ng kapatid po natin. Yung foreigner usually cook. Pag magluluto sila, ibibigay sila sa yung niluto nila, ibibigay sa iyo for tasting, right? And then the foreigner will ask, how does it taste? And here comes the kulukoy guy, di ba? Sabihin mo ngayon, it tastes delicious. It tastes very good. But in reality, if you will really tell the truth, the taste of the menu tastes like ew. Tastes like shit. Di ba? Pero you say, tastes like good. Why? Because you want to maintain the relationship. Ayaw nating mapahiya po yung foreigner, di ba? We tend to be very hospitable with these white people. If our best friend will probably buy a new t-shirt and will wear that new t-shirt in front of you and that best friend will ask you, do I look good with my new t-shirt? Ano sasabihin mo? Diba? Sasabihin mo ngayon, you look very good, you look very beautiful or handsome in the new t-shirt. But in reality, he looks very ugly. Why do you say so? Because again, di po natin gustong mapahiya po yung best friend po natin. Ang white lie, benign lie, this type of lying is known as benign, white, amoral, neither good nor bad. Okay? Benign or white lie. Okay? Sunod, itong tinatawag nating red lie. Ano naman itong red lie? Ito yung lie used to destroy other ideologies by means of may mga propaganda. Iba yung malicious lie, iba yung red lie. Ang red lie, mga propaganda yan. For example, pag mag-join ka ng New People's Army, ito ang gagawin natin, free education, free, blah, 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 blah. If mag-join ka sa kanila, ginagampanan mo yung tungkulin mo bilang isang miyembro ng komunidad. Kasi nga po, lahat ng mga batas natin ay para lang po sa mga mayayaman. Hindi po sa mga pobre ay nako, mga propaganda ng mga ganyan. Red lie po yan. Or, yung sa mga terrorist group, pag mag-suicide bomber ka, the moment you die, you will be marching on the street filled with golds and diamonds. Ay nako, ibang propaganda yan. Wasak ka ngayon pag pag-suicide bomber ka. Hindi ka mag-marcha, Brad, doon sa pathway filled with gold and diamond. Mag-marcha ka doon sa imperno. Yun ang totoo dyan. Ay nako, kayo pariwara, yung mga estudyante dyan sa, ay nako, the University Diva of the Philippines. I'm talking to, ay nako, alam nyo na yan, yung pinakaunang eskwelahan, lahat scholar ng government. Pero yung eskwelahan na yan, yun po ang nag-uuna. The leading university which marched against the government. Diba? Pag may napapatay na New People's Army, galing sa kanila yan, usually. So, red lie, yung mga propaganda na yan. Malicious lie, ito yung mga lie that will mislead justice. For example, perjury, falsification of documents, forgery, ang mga ganyan. Diba? Tinatawag siyang malicious lie. Anything that could mislead justice. Okay? So, yun po muna mga topics natin mga kadete under this subject, ha. So, ilagay po natin sa tatlong episode po. Lagay natin sa 3 episode mga kadete ha, ang subject po na ito para at least mas comprehensive po ang discussion natin. Maraming salamat ha sa lahat po ng nag-avail ng Bikoino book, pati na po sa lahat po ng nag-share sa lahat po ng mga videos po natin. Lahat ng videos natin mga kadete para po sa inyo ha. Ginagawa ko po ito, I tell you, yung paggawa ng isang video discussion na aabot po yan ng 2 araw kasi nga po ginagamit ko yung old laptop ko, old cellphone ko, at the same time mobile data lang po ang sa pag-upload ang ginagamit ko po. Wala po kasing wifi sa amin, pobre po kasi eh. Pobre po. So basically it will take 2 days. So maraming salamat ha sa lahat po ng nag-advocate sa Bikoino at sa lahat din po na nag-avail sa Bikoino book. God bless everyone and good luck po sa lahat ng magti-take ng board examination. Ingat po.